You're listening to the Down East Mike podcast, the quirky little podcast from Maine. And now, your host, Down East Mike. Good morning, everybody. This is Down East Mike coming to you live from Down East, Maine. I hope you're all having a good day. I know I am. I'm a little bit sore, actually, because yesterday I didn't want to start the day this way, but a friend of mine, whose name rhymes with Lance, he says, why don't you come over in the morning and fill bait bags for me? And I was like, oh my God. Because I really didn't want to do it, but I knew he needed some help getting the tubs of trawl done. He said bait bags, but he meant tubs of trawl. So I get over there, and he's got quite the fire going in the wood stove with some old lath he's burning. The barrel stove glowing just red hot, and the room just smells like hot old herring. And oh my God, I filled about 3 tubs of trawl, and that was all I could do. I put the meat on the hook, I round it around in the tub. It's just too much for poor old Down East Mike. But anyway, now that that's over and I'm back to my regular self, just yakking away in front of a microphone, it's easy. It's just like clicking a mouse. It's so easy to get along, do that stuff. This is Down East Mike, episode number 69, news and commentary for December 14th, 2022. It's Wednesday. Our motto here is some of this is whimsy. Some of this is true, and the interpretation of it all is entirely up to you. We have a magnificent episode today. It's actually kind of lighthearted because it's in the middle of the week. We don't want to think too hard. Today's episode, we have the ultimate Maine word. You're going to learn something funny here today. Ads in movies from 1977. We have a little story about the cosmonauts take the day off in 1977. We have a boar attacking Frank in Biddeford in 1895. Who knew there were boars in Maine other than me? Okay, let's look at our I'll do our international headlines first. Biden signs Respect for Marriage Act repealing 1996 anti-LGBT plus law. Sam Bankman-Fried, or is it Freed? Arrest updates. The former FTX CEO denied bail due to flight risk. Ooh. Jack Dorsey apologizes for his Twitter moderation choices, saying he did the wrong thing for the internet. A girl is dead and mother missing after tornado rips through Louisiana. Twitter is not paying their office rent, and they consider not giving severance. My goodness. Here's a tragic story. Alaska state trooper killed in musk ox attack outside his home. Tragic loss for our state. We're actually going to dig into that one right now because we hadn't seen it until just now. Court services officer Curtis Warland was fatally attacked after trying to keep a group of musk oxen away from a dog kennel near his home. Isn't that something? That's in Alaska. Tuesday afternoon, a wild animal attack. Using his 13th year of service, declared dead at the scene. Those muskox are huge, of course. Well, that's just awful. Let's go on to our main headlines. Let's see if there's anything here that's relevant to Maine. Dropping middle-class relief checks may not solve Maine's heating aid impasse. Maine Maritime soccer player killed in crash is remembered as a little brother by team. University of Maine researchers discover new uses for paper mill products. Main things to do: pets pictures with Santa, snowmobile hill climb, and a drive-through Christmas. Snowmobile hill climb. Everything you need to know about COVID-19 and the vaccine in Maine. Lobstermen protest outside Whole Foods after Maine lobster ban. Well, that's enough of the Maine headlines, too. Now let's get to our exciting podcast. And the ultimate Maine word is sneaky. From 1833, it came from sneak. Related words are sneakily and sneakiness. Sneaky Pete is cheap liquor from 1949. Sneak and sneaky is also used in combination with mischievous. And it's the ultimate Maine word. Now, they're saying here from 1550s implied in sneakish, perhaps from some dialectal survival of Middle English, snecken, S-N-I-K-E-N, to creep or crawl, and that came from the 1200s, related to the Old English sniken, S-N-I-C-A-N, to sneak along, creep, and crawl. And then they further unraveled that from the Germanic snike anon, which is related to the root of snake, and that's where we get to it all, snake. Related to feelings of being suspicions, etc., from 1748. In the transitive sense, to partake of surreptitiously is from 1883, sneaking, like sneaking around. What some other words from that time? Let's see, 1833, we had Aardwolf, absorption spectrum. Coast Guard was first used in 1833. Codeine, cola root, deer mouse was first used in 1833. But the ultimate Maine word, stealth, furtiveness, shiftiness, and you would describe somebody as sneaky. And you'd use it in the sentence, I didn't like him because I always thought he was a little bit sneaky. It's the ultimate Maine word. How about some birthdays today? Happy birthday to Barbara Ann of Somersworth, New Hampshire. She turned 78 today. She's a long-time listener. Thank you, Barbara Ann. She was an instructor at the Technical Institute for many years. She left many lasting impressions on her students. Gilly of Dexter, Maine will be 29 today. Happy birthday, Gilly. He, they, she, shay is working on restoring an old church to its original glory. From the Bangor Daily News on this day, December 14th, in 1977, we found this remarkable ad that we thought we would bring to your attention. Norelco and First Alert smoke detectors. And what's interesting here is that this smoky smoke detector from Norelco, it senses fire before smoke is visible, loud, continuous alarm. Of course, it terrifies your dog, doesn't do much else. Operates on single low-cost 9-volt alkaline battery, which is included. The low battery warning signal can sound for 30 days. Neat, you know, that sound goes off for 30 days before you change the battery. But the price is what's interesting. It was $21.77, and that's what they are today. They have prices not changed. This is 1977. The First Alert smoke detector, like the El Cheapo one, was $19.84. This was a time when they had not yet learned to round everything up to 95 cents or 99 cents. We had a little blurb here story. Flan and brawn are identified. And the question is, I recently came into possession of an old cookbook published in the United States that mentioned a flan, F-L-A-W-N. But there's no clue as to what the dish is. Would you know? Flan is an infrequently and possibly archaic word for flan, which is a tart or a pie baked in a flan ring. The only reference I have ever seen appears in the Epicurean, a book of recipes written by a former chef of Delmonico's Old Restaurant in New York and published in 1920 by John Whitley. Flans are generally made of fruits such as apricot, peach, plum, apple, and nectarine. Okay, now we get to the brawn part. Have you ever heard of an Irish dish called brawn? I presume it has nothing to do with athletics. A little bit of humor there. Oh, they're so clever. A little. Brawn is an Irish word, what is known in English as hog's head cheese, and in French as fromage de tête. It is made of pig's head and frequently pig's feet and seasonings, including bay leaf and mace. The whole cooked down in water until the meats are tender. The meats are removed from the stock, the broth is reduced, and when blended and cooled, the head cheese jellies. That sounds like one of those things where you cook it all and throw it away and eat the pan type recipes. What about Woolworths on this day in 1977? They had some last minute gifts that you could get. A Norelco 12-cup coffee maker for $33.97. Again, about the same price today. But what about some stereo LP record assortments? Your choice for $1.99. You could get Billy Crash Craddock Country Rock, Superbad is Back, Donna Fargo I Love You, B. Bland, that must be Bobby Bland, Get On Down, and Music Power, $1.99. They had some 8-track tape assortments, $2.99, Eric Clapton, Neil Young, Time Fades Away, so does he. Who else is in that list? Grateful Dead, Mars Hotel, don't remember that song. Bette Midler, Songs for New Depression. Gee, that'd make you depressed listening to Bette Midler. 10-gallon aquarium with floor stand, 1996. That'd be so you could bring it home and not put your heater in. Your fish would die. Cricket butane lighter, 88 cents. Boy, that brings back some memories, huh? Diamond Point gift assortment. Just junk, folks. It's junk. That's Woolworths. We're going to move on. We did find a nice coupon from Maxwell House Instant Coffee. Just a magnificent looking jar here. It's got the logo on it. You can tell it's real glass. This is the kind of jar that after you drink your coffee, you could take that label off. And what you do is you make a little board and you put a screw down through the lid. And then you can put screws and bolts and whatnot in the glass jar and you screw it back up. And on your workbench, you can see through. Now, with the plastic Maxwell House, you really don't have that same utility. You just don't have that clear view. Maxwell House Addison there's no substitute for instant like this. First comes that wonderful real coffee aroma the moment you open the jar. Maxwell House Instant is all coffee and nothing but. Now the taste, always good and satisfying every cup. That's right. With Maxwell House Instant Coffee, you know your next cup will taste as great as your last. Some hidden meaning there. Always good to the last drop. And as we know, that was what Teddy Roosevelt said when he drank it, and that's where they get their logo from. Special savings now. Clip this coupon and save 75 cents on your next jar. I'm thinking about printing that coupon out and just put some white out over the date on it, expiration, and I'll ship it off to Amazon and see if I can get a discount on this day. So then we have this story, and this is how dazed we are. We're looking at this story. It says, cosmonauts take the day off. And we're reading it. It says, the Soyuz 25 cosmonauts. And we're first thinking, 25 cosmonauts. That's a remarkable thing that there were 25 cosmonauts up there. And then we realized, no, that's the name of the space station, dummy, Soyuz 25. So the cosmonauts took the day off Tuesday to rest up from 48 hours of hard work and to sample such new amenities as a weightless shower in their re-engineered Salyut 6 space laboratory. Yuri Romanenko and Georgy Greco were given a rest day because the first 3 days of their mission were hard, intense. It is said the cosmonauts spent Tuesday getting used to weightlessness and talking to ground control every 90 minutes. I wonder if your words sound different in space. They're weightless words, so you use like a weighty sentence. The shower bath, located in a specially sealed compartment, utilizes a special filter to recycle water back into the lab system. So where's that water? Does it bead up? Is it just kind of flying around? I can't get my head around that. How about some letters to the editor? This is good. To the editor. Afore I went to sleep tonight, my wife helped this poor ignorant man write to you. He spelled right, R-I-T-E. This poor ignorant man write to you at BDN about that boy with big ideas in Boston. Just let me say that the problem the country has today is modern, sophisticated lifestyles. People have forgotten how to depend upon themselves for the things they need. What is wrong with a sink full of suds next to an open window? And instead of a TV, there are birds singing with chainsaws as a backup orchestra, or a family walking through the woods instead of as the world turns. Why should southern New England have to depend on Maine for anything? It is getting along darned well by itself so far. Wake up, people, before the modern appliances start telling you what to do. That was from Bill back in 1977. There's another letter here. The first letter of our readers right in today's news made me boil. I do wish Anthony Vellucci's address had been given. Boston, Mass. Isn't much for an address. He needs to maintain a sophisticated lifestyle. Hog roll. I wonder if he ever stopped to enjoy life, or does he live to keep up with the Joneses? I wonder if he could carry on a conversation with friends or even family for an evening without his colored television. Could he breathe without his air conditioning? Did he ever hear of doing dishes in the dishpan and wiping them on a dish towel? Afraid of dishpan hands? We in Maine are not ignorant backwoods types. Bet just as many people in Maine are as educated as the city slickers from Massachusetts. Now for the matter of flooding a few trees. When you flood an area, the trees don't grow there anymore. Woods are being cut down and cleared for housing projects, shopping centers, and every conceivable thing. We need tree conservation, or in time, where is the wood coming from? He states, what good are deer anyway? They are beautiful animals and their meat is great. He probably never tasted venison or deer meat. Why does he think that if they did build a dam that it would employ the unemployed from Massachusetts? Isn't he afraid if he came to Maine, he might turn ignorant like the rest of us? Maybe he thinks he could change us. Not so. We don't need his kind. Who wants to be modernized by him? We like Maine the way it is. Maybe he has seen northern Maine before and decided it needs a good dose of pavement. Where? Through the flooded forest? I'm glad he thinks Muskie and Hathaway care about the rest of us in Massachusetts, because they sure don't seem to do much for anyone else. They talk and travel a lot. His last paragraph states, the construction of Dickie Lincoln would provide thousands of jobs for the rest of us unemployed workers who could move up there. A lot of jobs are available if one isn't too particular what he does. Of course, some would rather collect unemployment and keep their hands clean. Signed, Mrs. Marion Guptill, age 77. That's an inspiration. On this day, 1977, they had an ad at the Brewer Cinema Center. 7 days until Close Encounters of the Third Kind comes out. Saturday Night Fever, catch it. That was opening on this week in 1977. That was opening on Friday, Saturday Night Fever. Smoking the Bandit was already in the cinemas. Rocky, Star Wars, that was at the Brewer Cinema Center. Okay, we're going to roll it all the way back now to 1895, a story out of Biddeford. Frank Remick was attacked by a boar he was going to kill in Biddeford Friday, according to the Argus. The animal made a mad lunge at him and struck him below the knee with his tusk, which entered the flesh clear to the bone, producing an ugly wound. He then threw Mr. Remick onto the floor of the pen, from which he took him on the end of his snout and tossed him outside the pen. In so doing, he was obliged to lift his burden, which weighed 250 pounds. So once again, I was kind of misled there because I was thinking it was a wild boar, it was outside. But it actually just sounds like it was one of a pig that he was raising. That's kind of disappointing. That story's... Anyway, another story from 1895. A Lincoln farmer named Finson, in jumping from a cattle car on Friday, fell backwards under the train and one of his legs was cut off. But he was otherwise uninjured. Mr. Finson is about 50 years old. I mean, you just lose a leg. Other than that, it's fine. Ernest Smith, aged 14 years, skated into the channel of the Penobscot River at Bangor on Sunday and was drowned. The body was recovered. Josephus Stevens of Winthrop, aged nearly 80 years old, died on Sunday. Saturday afternoon, during a heavy wind, he went after a pail of water and was found soon after, face downward near the doorway. It is supposed that the big door blew against him, striking him near the base of the brain and causing death. He recovered consciousness a few moments after being discovered for a brief time, but soon relapsed and died. He was formerly a shoe manufacturer in Winthrop. Mr. Stevens was a brother of the late T.W. Stevens and has for years been a member of the M.E. Church. He'll be much missed by a large circle of friends and neighbors. You can almost picture them missing him. The Hollowell Register says Dr. W.L. Thompson and lady, while driving up Union Street in Hollowell the other day, narrowly escaped collision with a passing train, which was evidently going at an unlawful rate. The doctor immediately entered a complaint with local authorities and wrote to Superintendent Tucker in regards to the matter and the dangerous crossings. The latter gentleman, that'd be Superintendent Tucker, in answering the document states that 5 new gates will be erected in the spring as soon as the frost is out of the ground. Most doctors get action, don't they? From Wiscasset, a serious accident, to the kindling wood factory at Birch Point in Wiscasset. It happened about 11:30 Saturday night. The eastern wall of the kiln fell with a great crash. You had to be there. For the past 10 days, there had been a constant addition to the pile in the kiln and no drawing out until at the time of the accident. There were 120 tons, or 80 cords, of comparatively green wood packed in, as it was, by the increased pressure from above. The building presents a sad-looking appearance. I guess so. The western wall had started and at one time threatened certain destruction to what remained, but by the prompt movements of the watchmen, shores were so placed as to delay further ruin in the quarter which remained. The piping system has lately received a thorough overhauling, and work in packing was to be resumed on Monday. The damage cannot at present be estimated. It will, however, reach a large sum, says the Portland Press Herald. From Richmond Saturday afternoon, Conductor Jewett's train was nearing the Lincoln Street crossing in the upper part of Richmond. Mr. James Litch, one of Richmond's well-to-do farmers, he was on his way home driving 2-yoke team of oxen, and he had a grain-loaded cart. He thought he had time to get over the crossing ahead of the approaching train. As my friend Levi says, it's all relative when a train's coming at you. He tried the experiment and succeeded in getting the oxen over, but the engine struck the cart, demolishing it, knocking it against Mr. Litch, cutting him severely in the leg. He was conveyed to his home where it is hoped he will speedily recover. These trains were just taking legs off right and left. Saturday, a boy named Day, who with several companions was skating on the river near the Vassalboro Railroad Station, fell through the ice. He had a narrow escape from drowning, completely benumbed when taken from the water, and was resuscitated only after a prolonged effect. Interesting on this day that everything was all iced over. From Canton, 5 inches of damp snow fell Sunday night. A little cooler weather is only needed to make for good sledding. Boy, they were optimistic. 2 Salvinists from Lewiston arrived here on the evening train Saturday. They marched the streets singing and playing the tambourine and cymbals. They held meetings in the Baptist church Saturday evening, Sunday, and Sunday evening. 2 converts are reported. Good for them. The sunken vessel is the barge Perseverance. Captain Nelson from Hoboken for Boston with 1,450 tons of coal in tow, being towed by steam tug Luther Ward. The accident was doubtless caused by the barge springing a leak and breaking in two. The schooner Christina Ellsworth, owned by Eastport and Portland parties, started from Pembroke to Eastport a few days ago with 100 tons of refined iron. Before reaching Eastport, the schooner went ashore, and word was received in Portland Saturday that the crew had thrown the iron overboard and was hoping to float off at high tide. The hold was then full of water. So I wonder if that iron's still sitting down there, 100 tons. Throwing that overboard would be a lot of work. Monday of last week during the storm, the schooner Excelsior of Lubec, with Captain Cousins on board, while at Grand Manan was a part of a load of fish for Kelly Brothers of Eastport. It consists of about a ton of frozen codfish and 7,000 frozen herring, and that boat upset and sank in 18 feet of water. The fish were, of course, lost, but the captain hopes to be able to raise the vessel, says the Eastport Standard. Let's see, do we have anything else in our podcast today? I don't think we do. We have kind of, this was just like a midweek splurge. We were just going to throw out a podcast here. So we're going to go right to the weather forecast for today. It's currently about 18 degrees. It's cold out there. For today is increasing clouds with a high near 36. Is for Wednesday. Breezy with a northwest wind 15 to 20 miles per hour. Get this, the gust as high as 45. You're going to feel that wind if you're out there today. For tonight, mostly cloudy, a low around 27. And then Thursday, partly sunny with a high near 39. Again, the wind's gusting to 20 miles per hour. Now, Friday, we got snow likely before noon, then rain and snow with a high near 35. And that's about as far out as we want to go with the forecast. Until next time, this is Down East Mike, wishing you and your loved ones a day that is full of grace, love, and kindness. We'll see you. I never learned to ride a pony. I never knew how to saddle a horse. But I can sail and I can fish.